November is National Adoption Month.
Today is Stand for Orphan Sunday. Churches across Mississippi will gather together and pray for orphans in foster care.
I think one of the verses that helps kind of bring this into perspective, what Jesus' expectation is for us, James 1:27 says, "Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this, to look after orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world." So here in James, Jesus is talking about taking care of the orphans and the widows.
Did you know that actually the early foster care was done by the early church? The church would actually take orphans and place them with widows and pay them to take care of the orphans. Then in the early 1900s, the government started a system where they would take the orphans and then find suitable homes for them. But originally it was the church's role. And I feel like that the church has almost been feeling exempt from that responsibility because the government has stepped in. And while CPS does a wonderful job, and I think that we should pray for our social workers, there is a dire need in the state of Mississippi right now for 1,600 foster families.
Right now in Mississippi, there's 4,525 children in the foster care system. And there's 65 children that the parental rights have been terminated and they're ready for their forever homes.
What are some of the things that people said to you when you told them that you were going to be a foster parent?
Are you crazy?
That was the number one thing I got was, are you crazy? People would say, I couldn't have a child come in my home and me fall in love with them and then have to give that child back. The truth is, we didn't know that if we could do that either, but it's something that is needed and required of us. God asked us to look after the widows and the orphans, as you see in James 1:27, and He's going to give you the strength to do whatever it is He asks you to do. Early in our marriage, when we had an extended family member whose mother passed away, and it was a small child, and we talked about adopting this child, but the child was placed with other family members. So that kind of planted a seed in us that God later watered. And then we were in a church service where we heard a testimony of a couple who was adopting because they were not able to have a child. And in that service, I think Jason and I both cried the whole service. And so afterwards we kind of looked at each other and we said, what now? So we knew that it was time for us not just to talk about supporting children that needed homes, but to actually go into action and to do something about it.
And it really wasn't a difficult process. We got put in with the Child Protective Services. They told us what classes we had to do. We had to go through some classes, and we kept thinking that with our busy life we may not be able to do this, but we were able to, and we wondered, well, would we be able to give enough attention? But everything's worked out. It's been a very, very good blessing for us to be able to do this.
I will say that the actual process of obtaining our license was the easy part. The hard part was hearing the stories of the situations where the children were removed from. And that to me it's not okay to let a child remain in a situation like that and no one step in and fulfill the needs of that child. Children need stability, they need love, and they need safe homes. All children deserve that. I'm glad that we were able to step up and provide that to the children that we've come in contact with, but we realize that we cannot help all the children in need, and so that's why we are reaching out, hoping that we will share our testimony so that someone else will step up and help those children in need. There are 7,718 churches in the state of Mississippi. If one family in each church would foster a child, then there would be no foster children without a foster home.
What does your faith say about that?
To get more information on adoption or fostering, go to adoptuskids.org or contact your local CPS office.